Okay, so the results and the conclusion now for our Grirriths study into cognitive bias in gambling. Now, the objective measure, the quantitative data, there were 7 things that were being recorded objectively. The first of those were total play, that's total number of plays in a session, total time, which is total time in minutes of play during one session, the play rate, total number of plays per minute during one session, the end stake, total winnings in number of 10 pence pieces after the playing session, the wins, total number of wins, the win rate, the total number of minutes between each win, and the win rate, plays, total number of plays between each play during a play session. So these were the 7 objective machine measures that were taken. Now, of these 7, only 2 were significant. And that was measure 3 was significant. A significant difference was found between regular gamblers' play rate of 8 compared to non-regular gambler play rate of 6. So regular gamblers had a quicker turnover of play, so pressing the button and moving on. The other significant difference was measure 7, in that there was a significant difference between gamblers who thought aloud, had a lower win rate, and therefore made fewer gambles between each win. Now, there were some interesting things, there were 2 interesting things that were not significant in statistical testing, but were still of interest. And one of these was on the measure 2, regular gamblers spent more time on the machines than non-regular gamblers. The second one, there was no significant difference between the thinking aloud, thought aloud, and the non-thought aloud conditions. So interesting, but no significant difference, which is good because it means that the thinking aloud, the cognitive procedure, doesn't make a difference to how they handle the tasks, which means we can use it again, really. So the results from the 7 objective measurements basically means that the null hypothesis is supported and that there is no difference in skill level between regular gamblers and non-regular gamblers. However, it's worth noting that regular gamblers did spend longer on the machines, which, although it wasn't significant, does point towards an element of skill or at least familiarity with the machine. So Grirriths concludes that really playing offers its own rewards. Playing with money rather than for money is what these gamblers seem to enjoy. So it's not always about the win. There's something more to gambling than just the winning of the money. So moving on to the subjective evaluation now, which is the verbalisations observed. These were put into nominal categories, 30 categories and 1 miscellaneous, and a use of content analysis was used for the results of the 15 gamblers and 15 non-regular gamblers who were in the thinking aloud condition. And examples of the rationalisations were personification, this machine likes me, explaining away losses, talking to the fruit machine, and also swearing at the fruit machine in a way which sort of is personification. So I can't believe you did that to me. Now, rational verbalisations that were noted were just general swearing at the machine when things weren't going their way, reference to losing and winning, saying no, nay, nope, in response to the wheels turning and the responses that the wheels were randomly bringing up. Questions relating to confusion was a big one, especially for the non-regular gamblers, and that was fairly significant. So in 2 of the 31 categories, remember 30 were rationally irrational, 1 was miscellaneous. 2 significant differences were found between regular and non-regular gamblers, and the first of that was in personification of the machine. Non-regular gamblers made more reference to confusion. So these are the 2 subjective things that were found, the qualitative data. Regular gamblers produce 14% more irrational talk than non-regular gamblers, and regular gamblers use hindsight bias, that's the heuristic of hindsight, more often. I knew that was going to happen. I guessed it was going to be mean to me that time. So regular gamblers, it's worth noting that they didn't like the machine, so they'd move on from the machine. They refused to play on the machine, and they switched machines more often than non-regular gamblers who just complied to what was happening. Also worth noting was that regular gamblers stayed on the machine after the 60 plays it was actually 14 stayed on, 10 of them staying on until they'd lost everything. However, only 2 non-regular gamblers stayed on the machine after the 60 plays. Now, the conclusion to this study is there does appear to be a difference in perceived skill, but the actual reality is there is no difference in their skill level, and we can see that with the 7 objective measures. So although gamblers say, I am better, there is more skill involved, actually there isn't. So this study shows that regular gamblers who play machines do have different thinking patterns. But Grirriths is quite cautious and suggests more research is needed to determine what came first, the heuristics for gambling or the personality bias that led to the cognitive differences. So this study offers massive practical application for offering CBT to regular gamblers, in the fact they can listen back to their irrational verbalizations and change their thinking patterns. So it has great practical application. However,